The story begins with Takashi, a second-year student at Fujimi Academy, sulking over his childhood crush, who has moved on and dumped him for his friend, Hisashi Aigu, who, surprise, is also repeating the year with her. Seiya, his childhood friend, can't take it anymore and warns him to stop moping. If he doesn't snap out of it, he'll just fall behind in school. Realizing it's a lost cause, she gives up and heads off to class. Takashi, still in his emotional slump, spots several gym teachers having a heated argument with a strange man at the gate. The man stays silent, which doesn't sit well with Teshima, their overconfident PE teacher. He decides to confront him, thinking he can handle whatever comes next. Of course, this doesn't go as planned, and Teshima ends up getting bitten and bleeding out. The other teachers try to help, but the man gets back up, now a zombie. He bites Hayashi, and the rest of the teachers panic and flee in terror. Takashi, witnessing this disaster, runs to the classroom of Rei to warn her. He bursts in, catching everyone by surprise. The teacher scolds him for barging in like a lunatic. Takashi grabs Rei, telling her they need to leave right now, but she refuses. Getting frustrated with her stubbornness, he slaps her to get her attention, and it works. Hisashi, noticing how serious Takashi is, finally understands and convinces Rei. They rush out of the classroom and head for their lockers. They grab their phones and some makeshift weapons. Just then, they hear an announcement over the intercom telling everyone to evacuate. Then, as if on cue, the teacher giving the warning is attacked and killed. Panic sets in, and students scramble to escape the chaos. Takashi, Rei, and Hisashi take a different route to avoid the chaos spreading through the school. However, their luck runs out when they run into a zombified teacher. The teacher attacks Rei, and in a quick response, she drives her spear through his heart. But, of course, that doesn't stop him. Hisashi, trying to be the hero, puts the teacher in a headlock and attempts to pull him away. But the teacher turns his head in a way that's clearly not human anymore and bites his arm. Takashi runs forward and smashes the teacher's head with a baseball bat. That finally does the trick. They keep running, heading for the roof, all while the chaos inside the school rages on. From the rooftop, they can see the horror isn't just contained to the school. The entire city is falling apart. Japanese self-defense force helicopters fly overhead, but it's clear they have much bigger problems to deal with than a few high school students. Just when they think they're safe, zombies start swarming the school, a few of them following Takashi, Rei, and Hisashi up to the rooftop. They make a run for the observation room, barricading the stairs behind them. But soon, Hisashi starts to feel sick. He observes that the situation feels just like a movie. Once you're bitten, you turn into one of them. Hisashi asks Takashi to help him to the railings. He doesn't want to become a zombie and attack them. Rei is frozen, unable to process what's happening. Takashi doesn't know what to do as Hisashi begins to cough up blood. Then, Hisashi collapses on the floor beside Rei. Takashi tells her to move away from him as he tightens his grip on the bat, preparing for the worst. Rei refuses to leave him, throwing herself on top of his body. She's convinced he'll get better. Just then, Hisashi starts to move again, giving her some hope. But that hope vanishes when Hisashi climbs to his feet and looks at them with empty, dead eyes. Takashi pulls Rei away, then charges at Hisashi. Takashi smashes his head with his bat and kills him. The shock is too much for Rei, and she turns on Takashi. She accuses him of not caring about her and says maybe she would have rather turned into one of them than watch him kill Hisashi. She insists that Takashi must have been jealous because she and Hisashi were dating. Takashi doesn't argue, just turns and heads for the stairs. Rei obviously doesn't want him there, but when he starts climbing over the barricade, she grabs his hand. She apologizes and begs him to stay with her. Takashi climbs back down and hugs her. Students scream as they rush down the hallway, chased by zombies. Seiya and Hirano just stand there, watching the mess unfold as everyone else scrambles to survive. A student who's been bitten by a zombie stumbles forward, only to get eaten. Hirano, clearly not the sharpest in a crisis, asks Seiya where they should go and suggests the staff room. Seiya stops and asks him if he wants to die. She points out that others had the same idea as him and shows him 6 students banging on the staff room door, begging to be let in. But then, 2 zombies come out and attack them. Seiya tells Hirano that she wants to live and tells him to move. On the observatory platform, Takashi is staring at the body of Hisashi like he's got nothing better to do. Rei asks for his phone, saying her father gave her an emergency number. She dials it, and her father answers, thinking Takashi is calling him. He warns them that the city is in panic and they need to leave right away before the line cuts off. With zombies outside, they decide to use a water hose to get out. Back in the hallway, zombies drag around the bodies of the undead or feast on them. Hirano, still stuck on his plan, asks Seiya if she has her phone and suggests calling the police as if they'll actually show up. Seiya says other people tried that already and there's still no sign of help. He then suggests calling the self-defense forces, but she reminds him they're probably stuck in the same mess, like it's obvious. When one of the zombies notices them, they quickly run off. Seiya complains about being stuck with Hirano, especially since Kamuro bailed when things got rough. In the medical office, Kazu watches as his friend Okada starts to reanimate. Panic takes over and he grabs an IV pole, swinging it at Okada's head. He quickly apologizes, as if that's going to make things better. Shizuka, starting to grasp what's going on, realizes she can't call the police or fire department. Not that they'd be much help now. She grabs medicinal supplies and, despite being a nurse, figures there's no hope for anyone who's been bitten. They turn and reanimate after death. Several zombies break into the medical office and Kazu attempts to fight them off, but his efforts are pretty useless. He's quickly overpowered but still manages to tell Shizuka to run. Too bad she doesn't even remember his name, much to his surprise. Just then, more zombies close in on her. Siko shows up and wipes them all out, leaving Kazu to wonder if he should have been doing something useful instead of panicking. She introduces herself to Kazu, asking for his name. After learning it, she asks him if he knows what happens when people get bitten. Naturally, he does. She asks if he wants to avoid becoming one of those zombies in front of his family and friends. Kazu agrees, and without hesitation, she offers to kill him. He accepts, a little too eagerly. 2 more zombies break in, but they're easily dispatched. Meanwhile, in the school's workshops, Seiya turns to Hirano, asking if he's one of those military nerds or gun freaks. Hirano doesn't even flinch. He's too busy finding a nail gun, as if that's a perfectly normal thing to be doing in the middle of an undead apocalypse. Hearing the door slam shut, the undead gather outside, but Hirano remains oddly calm. He grabs an extra gas container and some nails, suddenly turning serious, like too serious. He starts calculating the weight of the nail gun, comparing it to an assault rifle, because of course, that's what's needed right now. Then, in true overachiever fashion, he makes a sight for it out of planks of wood, a pencil, erasers, and tape, while the zombies break in. Just when it looks like Seiya might be dinner, Hirano manages to shoot one of them with his makeshift weapon. On the rooftop, Takashi asks Rei if she's ready for their plan. They use a fire hose to escape from the rooftop, blasting the zombies down the stairs. Meanwhile, back in the workshop, Hirano tells Seiya to grab some extra nails and put them in a bag. She protests, clearly unimpressed by his let's do everything like we're in a DIY store attitude. But once she sees that grin of his, part creepy, part smug, she drops the act and does what he asks. As more zombies close in, Hirano readies the nail gun like he's going to a shooting range, totally unaware of how ridiculous it all looks.
Stop it. Get some help.
Takashi checks with Rei, asking if they're ready to head back inside. He warns her that it won't be easy, but she's already mentally preparing for the chaos. She then asks him where they're going, and Takashi mentions they'll head back to their homes, hoping to help survivors along the way. They briefly agree that it sounds like a good plan. After all, Rei's dad is pretty capable of handling himself, and Takashi's dad is still missing. His mom, on the other hand, is stuck at an elementary school. Takashi shudders at the thought. It's not funny, he can already imagine what the outbreak must be like there. Elsewhere, in another hallway, Seiya throws a wet rag at one of the zombies. Hirano, with his usual confusion, asks what she's doing, but she just smirks and throws another rag onto some lockers. The undead student nearby hears the noise and starts slamming his head into the lockers. Seiya comes to the conclusion that while the zombies ignore pain, they react to sound and they can't see. She points out that the zombie wouldn't have banged into the lockers if he could see them. The two are about to escape when more zombies, who overheard the conversation, start heading their way. They barely manage to get away. In another part of the building, Shizuka asks Siko to head to the staff room, where the faculty keeps their car keys. Siko is unimpressed and asks why Shizuka doesn't just kill the zombies. Shizuka argues that killing them might put them at risk of being surrounded. Siko agrees and then suddenly rips part of Shizuka's skirt to make running easier. Shizuka protests, but Siko's not hearing it. Suddenly, they hear screaming in the distance. Takashi and Rei run toward the sound, and Hirano asks Seiya to throw him some more nails since he's running out. Before she can toss them, a zombie gets too close for comfort, so she grabs a drill and kills it, impressing the others who are standing by, unsure of what to do. Everyone but Shizuka handles the rest of the undead, dispatching them like it's some twisted game. Seiya, after killing one, says she can do anything if she really tries, but then bursts into tears, ruining her tough girl moment. Siko steps in to comfort her, and the others awkwardly watch. With only 6 survivors left, they try to come up with an escape plan. After some quick thinking, they decide to try and get to the bus. Takashi, in his best leader mode, relays the plan. They'll make sure their families are okay first and then find somewhere safe. The group nods, but their hope doesn't last long. The news broadcast they turn on shows the horrific truth: the city is completely overrun by zombies, and things are only getting worse. The group can't help but discuss the implications of the news. Rei remains hopeful that things can still be restored, though it's clear she's trying to cling to some optimism. Seiya, on the other hand, has already thrown in the towel, and to be honest, she's probably right. Takashi knows it, but instead of admitting how dire things really are like Seiya does, he tries to soften the blow. He's got more tact, after all. Seiya, being the pessimist, compares the situation to the Spanish flu, but Shizuka is quick to point out that it's more like the Black Death. Either way, it's not a pretty picture. The viruses from the past died off because there weren't enough people left to pass them around, but this one doesn't seem to care about that. The dead keep rising and doing their best to spread it further. Despite all the doom and gloom, the group decides to leave the school and search for their families. They'll stick together and maybe even pick up a few survivors along the way if they don't get eaten first. The first step is getting out of the school and onto the bus, but standing in their way is a massive horde of zombies. Just when things seem like they can't get worse, they rescue another group of survivors. Seiya, of course, has a theory about the zombies. She believes they're blind and only react to sound. It's a nice theory, but they wonder who's going to put it to the test. Takashi lets out a long sigh, like he's already regretting this decision, and steps up to the challenge. Rei tries to stop him, but Siko, surprisingly calm about the whole thing, holds her back. They need him to do it. Takashi, being the only one dumb enough or brave enough to try, carefully climbs down the stairs and steps into the locker area. The zombies, to his relief, don't notice him at first. He picks up a shoe and tosses it into a locker, hoping the sound will work. The zombies, predictably, follow the noise, giving them just enough time to escape. Just when everything seems to be going smoothly, one genius among the survivors decides to make noise by banging his weapon on a railing. The sound echoes all over the school like a dinner bell for the undead. And of course, the zombies, never ones to miss an invitation, turn their heads and start stumbling toward the group. Takashi doesn't waste time. He shouts at everyone to run and charges forward with Siko, who's probably enjoying zombie smashing way too much. They both cut through the crowd like it's a sport. Right behind them, Rei and Kauta clear a path, making sure no stray zombie gets too close. But not everyone makes it out clean. One unlucky guy ends up surrounded by zombies and starts crying for help. His girlfriend runs back to save him, ignoring Seiya, who tries to tell her it's already too late. Clearly, love makes people forget that zombies don't do second chances. Shizuka casually says maybe dying with the one you love isn't the worst thing in this messed up world. No one has time to dwell on anything emotional though, because it's a full-speed dash to the bus. Shizuka jumps into the driver's seat and fumbles around like she's seeing a steering wheel for the first time. While she gets her act together, Takashi and Siko keep the zombies away from the bus, showing off their monster-slaying skills. Once it's clear, everyone climbs aboard. Just as they're about to make their escape, another group stumbles out of the school. And of course, they bring along Mr. Shidu, the guy who looks like he failed every leadership class in school. Rei wants to leave them behind, especially Shidu, but Takashi decides to play hero. Rei warns him that saving this clown is going to backfire. Once the rest pile into the bus, Shizuka slams the pedal, smashing through zombies like she's in a demolition derby and crashes through the school gates. But it doesn't take long before Takashi realizes Rei was completely right about Shidu, and the regret train is coming fast. Shidu, never missing a chance to boost his already oversized ego, suddenly decides he should lead the group. And just because a few leftover students from his side nod along, he crowns himself king of the apocalypse. That's it for Rei, she's done playing nice. Without a second thought, she throws open the bus doors and jumps off, clearly preferring zombies over Shidu's nonsense. Takashi calls out to her, trying to stop her, but she keeps walking like she's not in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Shidu, being the smug mess he is, thinks he just scored a win. But that smug smile doesn't last long because Takashi jumps off too and runs after Rei. He catches up and grabs her arm. Rei, already annoyed, reminds him that she did warn him, letting Shidu on board would come back to bite them. Takashi tries to be the voice of reason, saying they can still escape if they just get back on the bus and reach the city. But Rei has made up her mind. She'd rather walk through a horde of zombies barefoot than spend another second near that man. Right when their argument could turn into a full-blown breakup scene, a second bus crashes into the chaos. It's full of screaming people and zombies who clearly didn't pay for a ticket. The bus slams into a car and flips like a scene from a budget action movie. It bursts into flames, sending flaming zombies flying out the windows like it's some kind of demonic fireworks show. Takashi and Rei are forced to run into a tunnel for cover. Takashi quickly shouts to Siko to meet them at the police station at 7, either today or tomorrow. Siko nods and jumps back onto the school bus while Takashi and Rei escape the fireball behind them. Once they're out of the tunnel, they stop to catch their breath, but of course, the drama isn't over. A zombie jumps on Takashi. Luckily, the zombie is wearing a motorcycle helmet, so its brain buffet plans fail miserably. While Takashi fights it off, Rei smashes its head with a paving slab. After taking down the surprised zombie, they barely manage to stay on their feet. But no matter what, they are ready to walk all the way to the city if they have to. Luckily, they spot the zombies' motorcycle nearby and hop on. Takashi and Rei ride into the city on their borrowed motorcycle, and wow, it's a total disaster. Zombies are everywhere, walking like they own the streets, and a bunch of them seem very interested in following the new arrivals. Rei, still hoping for a miracle, wonders if someone might come to rescue them. But Takashi, the human version of a broken weather app, gives her the lovely forecast. They're completely on their own. That kind of negativity doesn't sit well with Rei. She hates how Takashi always sees the glass as not just empty, but smashed on the floor. He claims he's just being realistic, but that doesn't make her feel any better. Zombies start shuffling their way, and without wasting more time, they speed off again. The city looks like a ghost town after a horror movie shoot. Cars are abandoned in the middle of the road, windows are smashed, doors are wide open like people vanished mid-panic, and there's blood everywhere, walls, sidewalks, even mailboxes. It's hard to believe anyone could have survived this mess. They ride through the empty streets, both of them start thinking about how much things have changed. Just this morning, life was normal. School, friends, drama, now it's all ash and gore. Eventually, they spot a police car and rush over, hoping it means help is nearby. But of course, the car has been crushed by a garbage truck, probably the most useful thing that truck's done all day. The officers inside are dead. Rei checks the wreck and comes back with some gear, a pair of handcuffs, a revolver, and some bullets. One gun's too damaged to use, but at least the ammo is still good, even if it's a little blood flavored. Rei looks more serious now, like she finally accepts that the old world is gone and isn't coming back. They keep moving non-stop, because every time they slow down, new zombies show up like they're late to a party. Eventually, they stop at a gas station, only to discover the pump wants money, because yes, even during a zombie outbreak, capitalism still finds a way. Neither of them has cash, and Rei's frustration hits max level. She calls Takashi the worst, and he hits back by dragging Hisashi into the argument. If he's the worst, then maybe Hisashi was the best. Maybe Rei wishes Hisashi had survived instead. That hits hard. Takashi grabs a bat and heads into the store to find money, leaving Rei alone with her regrets. She starts thinking maybe she was too harsh. Takashi gets to the register and hears Rei scream. He races outside and sees some creep holding a knife to her throat. The guy clearly missed every how not to be a psycho lesson in life. He even starts groping Rei, acting like this is a twisted date night. Takashi tells him off, but the man proudly admits he's nuts because earlier he smashed his entire zombified family's heads in. So yeah, sanity left the chat. The lunatic demands the bike and tells Takashi to fill it with gas. Takashi, with no better options, throws away the bat and fills up the tank. Then, slowly, he starts walking toward the man. The guy threatens to kill him, but Takashi tries to negotiate, asking if they can leave once he gets the bike. The guy doesn't look too convinced. Suddenly, Takashi makes his move. He pulls out the revolver Rei gave him and aims straight at the guy's chest. At this range, missing would be embarrassing. The man mutters something pointless about the gas, but Takashi doesn't care. He fires. The guy hits the ground, screaming as blood pours out. Rei, furious, stands over him. He's lucky she didn't shoot him herself. Takashi reminds her they need to get out of there fast. Zombies are already limping their way toward the noise. Rei jumps on the motorcycle, grabs Takashi, and they ride off, leaving the would-be attacker to be zombie chow. As they drive away, Takashi admits this kind of horror is probably going to become normal now. Rei doesn't like hearing that, but after a pause, she nods. She leans in closer and holds him tight, the road stretching ahead of them. They ride through the night, and a military drone spots them while they cross a bridge, flying alongside for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, their friends are still alive out there. At Kansai International Airport, which floats like a metal island near Tokyo, the last few working planes are getting ready to carry survivors to somewhere, anywhere, safer. But first, there's a small problem. And by small, we mean hundreds of zombies treating the runway like it's a Walking Dead runway show. That's when Rika Minami steps up, joined by her partner Tajima from the prefectural police. Together, they clean up the mess like they're taking out the trash, undead trash. After they're done turning zombies into Swiss cheese, the plane finally lifts off, and the airport feels a little quieter. Rika and Tajima take a moment to talk about what comes next, even though no one really knows anymore. Rika mentions that she's not sticking around for long, she's got someone important to get back to. Even in the apocalypse, people still have their priorities straight. Meanwhile, back on the painfully slow school bus, Shizuka looks like she's about 2 minutes away from dying of boredom. The traffic hasn't moved in what feels like forever. It's bumper to bumper with desperate people trying to get anywhere that doesn't smell like zombies and fear. Seiya watches a plane fly off in the distance, probably imagining herself on it. But the real headache is sitting right behind her, Shidu, acting more and more like he's the leader of a weird doomsday cult instead of a failed school teacher with a god complex. Seiya finally has enough. She wakes up Kauta and explains that this new world isn't going to be about rules or teachers barking orders. It's going to be about small groups surviving together, and they need to figure out who their group really is. Kauta instantly gets it. Hanging around Shidu any longer is just asking for more problems. Siko and Shizuka agree without hesitation. Even Shizuka, who's usually sunshine and chaos, bluntly calls Shidu a bit of a jerk, though honestly, she's being generous. Shidu, of course, senses something is up. Like the attention-seeking boss of a broken club, he strolls over and tries to act in control. Seiya doesn't hold back. She tells him straight up that she doesn't owe him anything, and this isn't some field trip where he gets to be in charge. She's out, and the others are too, but just when it seems like he's going to back off, he says Shizuka isn't allowed to leave, because having a doctor is too important for his pathetic excuse of a group. Clearly, even the end of the world can't fix his control issues. That's when Kauta steps up. He's had enough of being picked on by this guy since school days. He fires a nail from his weapon that slices just barely across his face, a not so gentle warning. He calmly tells Shidu that if he really wanted to, he could have ended it right there. And honestly, no one would have blamed him. Kauta has taken enough of Shidu's nonsense, and he finally makes it clear that the free ride for that creepy teacher is over. He tells the group to get off the bus, and nobody wastes a second. Siko even throws him a quick glance, impressed by how bold he's become, like he suddenly leveled up from anime nerd to zombie fighting action hero. Kauta trails behind them as they leave, while Shidu stands there looking like a deflated balloon in front of his so-called followers. That smug little power trip of his doesn't look so impressive now. The group cuts through the traffic, moving fast. The bridge is completely useless at this point. It's blocked off by the police, who clearly aren't playing games. They've locked it down tight and aren't letting anyone through, especially not random groups of clueless students who think charging at a barricade is a good idea. Meanwhile, across town, Rei and Takashi are still riding their stolen motorcycle, trying to find a way over the river. They end up in a mess when they cross paths with a violent gang that seems to have gone full zombie mode without even being bitten. Luckily, the bike gives them a quick escape before things get uglier than they already are. They slow down for a moment, trying to figure out their next move when they hear something strange. It's not a gunshot, it's sharper, more like a nail gun. Takashi immediately puts 2 and 2 together and guesses the others are fighting on the bridge ahead. And since patience clearly isn't his thing, he decides the fastest route is to fly through the air, literally. There's a transport truck parked nearby with its ramp down, and Takashi aims the bike straight for it like he's auditioning for an action movie. Rei calls him insane, but it's too late. They soar over the ramp and land on the bridge, right into chaos. Rei jumps off and dives straight into the fight. Takashi, not wasting time, tosses the revolver to Kauta and rushes to help Siko. He grabs her hand mid-swing and launches her like a missile toward the zombies. She slices through them like they're made of paper, then immediately turns back to check on Takashi. The whole squad is pumped to be back together, and just in time, too. Still, the river problem hasn't gone anywhere. There's no easy way across. Thankfully, Shizuka mentions she has a friend with an apartment nearby, and more importantly, this friend owns a Humvee. Now that's the kind of vehicle you want in a zombie apocalypse. Takashi offers to take Shizuka to scout the place on the motorcycle, which she doesn't mind at all, maybe even enjoys a little too much. After confirming the place is safe enough, they go back and bring the rest of the group. Once inside, they get ready to settle in for the night. But of course, it wouldn't be a peaceful evening. The apartment complex isn't exactly zombie-free. Instead of running, though, they finally decide to stop playing defense. This time, they fight back, really fight back, for the first time since the world went upside down. The girls jump into the bath together to unwind. Hot water is a luxury now, so there's no telling when they'll get another chance. Meanwhile, Takashi and Kauta wander the apartment like 2 kids left home alone, but with guns instead of candy. They stumble upon a cabinet full of ammo and a very cool looking crossbow. Then they notice another cabinet right next to it, locked tight. That's suspicious, and obviously tempting. While they try to break it open, they hear squeals and giggles from the bathroom, which sounds more like a spa day than the middle of an apocalypse. Kauta jokes about sneaking a peek, but Takashi wisely decides he'd like to not die by female rage today. When the cabinet finally swings open, Kauta almost passes out from excitement. Inside are enough illegal weapons to start a small war. These aren't just collector's items either, these are real, working, very illegal in Japan kinds of weapons. You'd expect this from a villain's hideout, not a cozy apartment. Takashi realizes Shizuka's friend might be a little more intense than she let on. She mentioned Rika was ex-military and police, but this looks like Rambo's personal stash. Kauta, of course, is in his element. When Takashi asks if he's done this kind of loading before with airsoft guns, Kauta casually drops that he once trained in the US with an ex-Delta Force commander. Takashi suddenly feels very lucky they're on the same side. On the nearby bridge, things aren't looking good. The police have orders to hold the line no matter what. But regular people are still trying to get through, desperate to escape. Protesters blame the government, shouting about some secret bioweapon. Then it all goes downhill. A woman carrying her daughter steps forward, pleading for help, only for her child to bite her neck. Yep, the kid was already infected. The mom dies, turns, and walks right toward the police, who open fire. Chaos explodes. Protesters freak out, and the tension goes from bad to nuclear. Back in the apartment, Kauta and Takashi are watching the madness unfold on TV. It gets worse when a police chief casually strolls up and shoots a protest leader in the head like it's just another day at work. The broadcast cuts off instantly. Both guys sit in awkward silence, probably rethinking everything about humanity at this point. That's when Shizuka enters, wrapped in only a towel and way too much cheer for someone surrounded by zombies. She hugs Takashi, gives him a kiss, and then plants one on Kauta too, thanking them for being her personal bodyguards. She's either drunk, sleepy, overheated, or all of the above. Whatever it is, she's completely unbothered. Takashi ends up carrying her to bed before she collapses on the stairs like a wobbly jellyfish. But of course, drama doesn't rest. Rei appears on the stairs, spotting Takashi with Shizuka, and immediately gives him the classic look. Later, Takashi heads to the kitchen to get a snack, and that's when Siko shows up, wearing nothing but an apron and a thong. Apparently, none of the clothes fit her, so she's gone full zombie apocalypse chic. She's cooking like it's a normal evening, and thanks Takashi for everything. Then, in a soft moment, she asks him to call her by her first name. It's her way of saying they're real friends now. Just as things start feeling warm and fuzzy, Rei starts yelling for Takashi from the stairs, clearly not a fan of other girls getting cozy with her maybe kinda sort of boyfriend. Takashi sits with Rei as she talks about Hisashi again, how nice he was, how much he cared, how he sang at karaoke. Basically, everything Takashi isn't. And Takashi finally loses it. He reminds her that Hisashi is gone and no one knows that pain more than him. He tries to leave, but Rei grabs his shirt and pulls him close, leaning her head against his. She doesn't say sorry, but it's there in her eyes. Then, a dog starts barking outside, breaking the moment. Kauta yells down to Takashi. Apparently, the bridge is sealed off now, and with no way through, the zombies are back in their neighborhood. Shizuka and Seiya are still in dreamland, completely passed out, possibly recovering from the longest spa day of their lives. Rei sits alone on the stairs, probably rethinking her entire love triangle, while Siko stays busy in the kitchen like a calm warrior chef. Up on the balcony, Takashi and Kauta keep watch, scanning the streets below as the zombies return, dragging their rotting limbs back into the neighborhood. The bridge plan is totally useless now. It's like the undead hit a dead end and decided to turn around. Takashi watches helplessly, his heart heavy. He wants to help the survivors down below, but reality punches hard. They've already made the mistake of trusting strangers once, and it nearly got them all killed. Siko joins the balcony squad and quickly reminds Takashi of the cold, ugly truth. They're just a bunch of high schoolers and a sleepy school nurse, not exactly a special ops unit. The police couldn't handle it with all their gear and training. She wonders aloud what hope do they have. Takashi doesn't like hearing it, but Siko isn't trying to be mean. She's just being brutally honest. This isn't a superhero movie, it's survival. And survival means knowing your limits. So Takashi turns back to the street, watching as the nightmare unfolds below. It's total chaos. The undead swarm through like they own the place, and the living are nothing but snacks at this point. Takashi can't take it anymore and hands the binoculars to Kauta, needing a break from the horror. But Kauta sees something that glues his eyes to the lens. A man and his little daughter are running through the chaos, searching for shelter. The father leads her to a nearby house. It's lit up like a beacon, which should mean hope, but hope is rare in this world now. The man begs the people inside to take in his daughter. He doesn't even care if he dies, as long as she's safe. At first, it looks like someone is about to help. The door cracks open, only for a blade on a stick to stab the man straight in the chest. Yep, the people inside literally weaponized hospitality. The poor guy stumbles back in shock, knocking open the front gate as he collapses, bleeding out fast. Inside, the cowardly man who did it panics, apologizing like that makes it better. The door slams shut again, sealing off the last shred of mercy that place ever had. The girl drops to her knees beside her dad, clutching his hand as tears stream down her face. His shirt is soaked in blood, and his strength is fading fast. Even in his final moments, he tells her to hide, to live. But she doesn't want to leave him. Her cries are loud, too loud, and the zombies hear it. They turn toward her like sharks that smelled blood. One begins to shuffle toward her, mouth already opening wide for a bite. Then, bang, The zombie drops, another follows, and another. One by one, the monsters start dropping like dominoes. Someone is sniping them. Kauta locks onto the site below and calls it. There's a little girl trapped, and she needs help now. Takashi doesn't waste a second. Kauta grabs his rifle and takes position for cover fire like he's in some kind of zombie-themed video game. Takashi races inside, alerting Rei and Seiko. His plan is to ride straight through the chaos on the motorcycle. Kauta keeps the undead distracted. Rei hands over the revolver. Once Seiko and Rei open the gate, Takashi roars out on the bike, weaving through zombies like he's late for a pizza delivery. Bullets whistle past him, courtesy of Kauta, who's picking off zombies with clean headshots. But just when everything seems to be working out, boom, the bike hits a zombie body, skids, and Takashi goes flying. It's not exactly a superhero landing, but he gets back up fast. Now it's crunch time. Zombies are closing in on the little girl, but the gate's wide open and a whole new crowd of flesh eaters is heading that way. If Takashi doesn't close it, things are going to get worse fast. Kauta helps thin the horde from above, buying just enough time for Takashi to shut the gate. He runs to the girl, calming her down and honoring her father's sacrifice. He even places a flower beside the man's body. But there's no time to mourn. They have to escape, and the only way out is to climb over the garden wall. Quietly, back at the apartment, Seiya and Shizuka finally wake up, probably thanks to the noise or maybe the drama radar finally kicked in. Rei explains the situation, and it's clear that Takashi won't make it back the same way. Time to move. They pile everything they can into the Humvee, because if you're going to make a rescue mission in the apocalypse, might as well do it in style. From the balcony, Kauta sees Takashi making his move. He rushes down, ready to provide ground support. The Humvee revs up like a beast and Shizuka floors it into the alleyway, squashing zombies like it's a blood-splattered car wash. Standing on top of the Humvee, in only an apron and panties, Seiko strikes an anime pose and then jumps into the fray. She clears the immediate area with her sword, giving Takashi the window he needs. He bolts toward the vehicle, the little girl clutching his back like a backpack of emotions, and Zeke the heroic pupper tucked inside his sweater like a furry grenade. He leaps onto the Humvee, Kauta blasts away at any remaining zombies, and Seiko flips back aboard like it's a circus act. Shizuka slams the pedal, and they roar out of the alley, leaving the undead in a cloud of dust and regret. They did it. The girl is safe. The squad is together again. But the river still looms ahead, waiting like the final boss. One thing's for sure, crossing it won't be easy. The team managed to stock the Humvee with enough food, ammo, and random outfits to survive a while. Once Takashi gets Alice safely inside, Shizuka hits the road like a woman on a mission, or a chaotic road trip leader with zero respect for traffic rules. The group searches for a way to cross the river, and lucky for them, Rika's Humvee might as well be a tank on wheels. They find a low point and simply plow through the water like it's just a puddle on a rainy day. While bullets aren't flying for once, Kauta climbs onto the roof with Alice and starts belting out songs. It's cute, until Seiya hears them and looks like she's seriously considering tossing Kauta into the river mid-verse. Inside, Rei wakes up and finds herself comfortably leaning on Takashi's shoulder. She smiles, but that smile freezes when she notices someone else is also using Takashi as a human pillow. Looks like the harem problems are starting early. After a bit of grumbling and awkward eye contact, she wakes them up, and the crew gets moving again. Once they make it across the river, everyone piles out of the Humvee for some fresh air and a reality check. Problem is, none of them are dressed for adventure. Between Seiko's apron, armor, and whatever Shizuka packed, it looks like a cosplay convention collided with a military surplus store. Kauta, of course, thinks this is the perfect time to suggest sneaking a peek at the girls changing. Takashi, once again, values his life too much to agree, and the peep squad is shut down. Instead, the boys take watch duty while the girls throw together outfits that somehow combine school uniforms, tactical gear, and chaotic energy. Once the runway show ends, Kauta and Takashi climb the bank first. No zombies, no people, just silence and weird vibes. The Humvee makes it up next, nearly giving Kauta a heart attack as it thunders past his head like a charging rhino. Still no sign of life, which is suspicious. This side of the river feels like the apocalypse turned off the lights and left. They jump back into the Humvee and head straight for Seiya's house. Takashi and Rei sit on the roof like scouts, scanning the streets. But something feels off. They wonder where is everyone. Then, just around the bend, they find out. Zombies. Not a huge horde yet, but enough to make it clear they've found the wrong neighborhood. They turn around and boom, more zombies. Every turn is a dead end, both figuratively and literally. It's like the undead are running their own welcome party. Shizuka, in her usual style, decides the best strategy is to mash the gas and hope for the best. She barrels toward the crowd, fully ready to turn the Humvee into a zombie lawnmower. But Seiko suddenly spots a trap, wires stretched across the road. She screams a warning, but it's too late. Shizuka swerves to avoid a complete disaster, slamming the side of the Humvee into the undead blockade. The tires slip on zombie guts but catch traction just in time, except Ray isn't as lucky. She flies off the roof like a ragdoll and crashes down onto the hood, then rolls off onto the road. Takashi doesn't hesitate. He jumps down after her, ready to fight off the horde that's now charging toward them. Takashi's shotgun bucks so wildly that every shot goes off target, and when he tries to reload, the cartridges slip from his hands and scatter into the dirt. He ducks beside Ray, who's flat on her back, and fumbles with the pistol strapped to her. After a moment of awkward twisting, because whoever practices lying on top of someone to shoot, he finally wrestles it free and starts firing into the crowd. Seiko, unwavering as always, charges headfirst into the horde with her practice sword, slashing through limbs like she's in a fancy stage show. She dodges Takashi's stray bullets while cutting a path through the dead. Above them, Kauta perches on the Humvee roof, offering cover as best he can, and even Seiya, who usually freezes at the sight of her own shadow, races out, brandishing her gun until the ammo runs dry. The racket they make only draws more zombies, filling the street until it seems hopeless. Takashi stands tall and strides over to Seiya, calmly takes the shotgun back from her limp hands, and marches toward the massive undead. His plan is clear: draw them away from the wires so the others can slip through. Meanwhile, Kauta tries to lower Alice over the barrier, but the little girl clings tight, her eyes terrified at the thought of leaving him. She sees the same resolve in his gaze that her father showed before he fell. Back in the chaos, Seiko and Takashi scream battle cries, more like animal roars, banging their guns and sword on the pavement. A handful of zombies follow them, but most stay fixated on the larger group. Just when it seems they'll be trapped, a team of firefighters shows up, armed with high-pressure water cannons. They blast the zombies back like giant water pistols at a summer fair, clearing a path through the wires. Their leader, who, it turns out, is Seiya's mother, orders everyone to move fast and promises they'll rescue the Humvee later. Seiya melts when she spots her mother and runs into her arms, relief washing over her. She shouts for Takashi and Seiko to join them back at her house, but the route is blocked. Takashi, who knows every shortcut in the neighborhood, nods and turns away to find another way. Adrenaline pumps through him louder than any shotgun blast. In that moment, he doesn't feel scared or tired, he feels alive and unbeatable. But as they get closer, the streets get thicker with zombies, like a bad party no one wants to leave. Takashi grits his teeth and thinks, if only I still had my bike. That's when he spots a bike shop and drifts inside like a kid in a candy store. Seiko makes it clear she's not about to cozy up on a bike with him. This isn't some romantic joyride. Lucky for them, they find an ATV designed by the military, all rugged and ready for action. Perfect for their zombie-avoiding mission. Seiko grabs a bunch of supplies like a survivalist shopping spree and hops on beside Takashi. The roaring ATV noise doesn't exactly clear the streets of zombies, no magical go-away button here, but Takashi has a plan brewing. They speed back down to the river and skid to a dramatic stop on the bank. The zombies stumble and fall like bad dancers, but they're right back up, wobbling after them like persistent party crashers. No worries, Takashi revs the ATV and powers straight into the river. It's amphibious. Only problem, the splash soaks Seiko from head to toe. Her wet shirt instantly turns into a see-through disaster, and Takashi nearly loses it trying not to stare. He fights off the urge to make things awkward and pilots them to a sandbank in the middle of the river. Finally, a moment to breathe. Seiko quickly swaps her soggy uniform for a plain tank top, cutting down on the unintended swimsuit vibe. Takashi, always the smooth talker, tries some small talk, asking if she ever had a boyfriend or a crush. Seiko keeps it vague, like a mysterious anime character hiding secrets. Once the zombies wander off like they've lost interest, Takashi and Seiko fire up the ATV again and head back to the riverbank. The sun starts dipping, and with the night comes more zombies, like the undead version of Rush Hour. The streets flood with them. Takashi spots a fountain in the park and hatches a clever plan. He drives the ATV right into the water, then taps the throttle so it keeps moving on its own, turning the machine into a mechanical decoy. The zombies follow the noisy distraction, splashing into the fountain like it's their new favorite hangout spot. Not wanting to make any more noise with the shotgun, Seiko takes the lead, smashing zombies aside like a boss. Then, she suddenly freezes when a group of undead children blocks their path. Even zombies need to be creepy, apparently. Takashi rushes to her side just in time, realizing that pushing forward isn't the smartest move. They find shelter in a shrine nearby, which looks surprisingly well fortified, probably the best zombie hideout ever if you ignore the whole undead crowd outside. Takashi notices her uniform has dried and politely steps behind a screen so she can change without turning the shrine into a locker room. When she's done, Takashi breaks the awkward silence by revealing he found her a portable toilet. Yep, romance in the apocalypse is all about creature comforts. Seiko looks uneasy but decides to open up anyway. She spills some serious feelings about her past, confessing she almost killed someone and thinks she doesn't deserve love because of it. That creepy group of undead kids only reminded her she's a monster. 4 years ago, after school, she was attacked and used her practice sword to fight back. At first, it was just self-defense, but then she realized she kind of enjoyed it. Holding someone's life in her hands was a rush she couldn't shake off. Takashi tries to calm her down, saying he's felt the same way since the outbreak began. Siko fires back that she's always been like this, and Takashi is just adapting to survive. Takashi locks eyes with her, places his hand on hers, and leans in as a candle flickers. The next morning, they step out of the shrine and find zombies gathering like uninvited guests at a party. Siko freezes again, katana in hand but stuck. Takashi won't let her give up. He pulls her close, tells her he accepts her as she is, and that he needs her. Basically, the zombie apocalypse version of I Got You. After a pause, Siko feels stronger, ready to fight. She draws her blade and charges into the horde like a one-woman wrecking crew, slicing through zombies like they're made of paper. Takashi watches, probably wishing he had half her skills. They finally press on toward Seiya's house. On the way, Siko asks if Takashi really means what he said. He does. They stroll the rest of the way hand in hand, looking like a couple who survived a zombie apocalypse, and maybe each other. When they reach the back gate, arms around each other, Seiya looks happy to see them but also a little annoyed at their newfound closeness. Alice and Zeke, of course, are ready to greet them, wagging tails and all, like nothing ever happened. It has been a couple of days since Siko and Takashi finally make it to Seiya's house without getting eaten or lost. Somehow, during that short time, they managed to slip back into old habits, like life before everything turned into a zombie disaster. Rei still struggles with her sore back, needing some magic lotion to calm the pain. Takashi, being the reliable, though sometimes clueless, guy he is, tries to hold her steady while Shizuka steps in with her personal healing ointment, probably from some secret stash of Grandma's remedies. Once Shizuka finishes, Rei immediately lets Takashi know he messed up by not doing it himself, making it clear that she's not impressed and tells him to scram. Poor Takashi, always the target of Rei's bossy attitude. Trying to escape Rei's fury, Takashi bumps into a couple of muscle-bound guys lugging heavy boxes like their lives depend on it. He offers to help, but they dismiss him, telling him to leave the heavy lifting to real men and to go be pretty somewhere else. Not exactly the warmest welcome, apparently, Takashi's charm doesn't work on these guys. Then, out of nowhere, Siko appears in a kimono, looking like she stepped out of some old school drama, completely throwing Takashi off guard. Their awkward exchange barely gets started before Seiya starts yelling at her mother, cutting through the tension like a hot knife through butter. When Takashi tries to understand the mess, Seiya snaps at him and storms off, leaving him more confused than ever. Yuriko, Seiya's mother, accidentally bumps into Takashi right after and asks to talk. She claims they've known each other since kindergarten, which makes Takashi wonder how he survived all those years without knowing this secret connection. Yeah, good luck convincing Seiya about that. After all, she's clearly not interested in playing nice. Meanwhile, Seiya finds Kauta in the garage, tinkering with guns like some wannabe action hero. Their moment is interrupted by a worker scolding Kauta for playing with real guns, because apparently, guns are just toys now. Kauta apologizes like a good kid, but Seiya quickly shuts down the worker, defending Kauta like a fierce sister who's tired of people treating them like kids. She points out that nothing is the same anymore, and both she and Kauta have been through enough to earn some respect. She warns that things are about to change, and they need to decide which path to follow. Seiya gathers everyone in Rei's room, even though Rei clearly hates being stuck there, because she can't move much yet. The group needs to figure out their future, whether to join Seiya's parents' group or try to survive alone. Siko agrees with going solo, explaining that if they stay, they'll be treated like kids with no say in anything. Going it alone means tough survival, but they get to make all the decisions, which sounds like a dream compared to being bossed around by the parental units who want everything to be perfect. Takashi tries to calm Siko down, reminding her that nobody even knows if their parents are alive or just zombie snacks, but the tension in the room feels like it could burst any second. Suddenly, loud noise at the front gate pulls everyone outside. Seiya's dad, Soakairo Takagi, shows up with more survivors and supplies, acting like the big hero. One unlucky guy is being dragged in a cage. He got bitten, so he's already half zombie, and apparently that means he's out of the family club. Soakairo wastes no time, slicing off the guy's head in one clean move, shocking everyone who didn't expect such a brutal welcome back. Just when the tension couldn't get thicker, Kauta starts trash-talking swords like he knows better, which really shakes Siko's patience. She's probably thinking, who's this keyboard warrior acting all tough? Takashi tries to calm things down, but Kauta turns on him like he's the enemy before storming off like a teenager who just lost Wi-Fi. Takashi's mind drifts to a history lesson he barely paid attention to, the mutiny on the Bounty. The sailors couldn't go back to their old lives after tasting Tahiti's paradise. Suddenly, it makes sense. How could they expect to be normal teenagers again after surviving a zombie apocalypse and this mess? Then, Alice finds Takashi and urgently pulls him away. Kauta is in trouble. They find Kauta cornered in the garden by workers demanding he give up his guns. Meanwhile, Seiya and Siko are locked in a heated debate about what this new world really means and who's going to lead it. Soakairo and Yuriko Takagi finally show up in the garden, acting like the royal family arriving at a peasant uprising. Soakairo immediately senses that Kauta isn't just some spoiled kid his workers made him out to be, he's been through hell and back. Kauta tries to explain himself, but facing such scary authority makes him freeze like a deer caught in headlights. Just when things look like they might get ugly, Takashi storms in to defend Kauta, telling Soakairo about the times Kauta saved his daughter's life more than once. Pretty hard to argue with that kind of street cred. Seiya shows up too, backing them up and letting her parents know exactly how useless they've been when she needed them most. It's a family drama on top of an apocalypse, with the adults clearly failing their parts. Meanwhile, far away, one of Shidu's students sneaks a peek at Seiya's house and reports back like a snitch on a mission. He's confident they'll be accepted into Shidu's group, which would mean safety for everyone. Shidu, probably lounging in his chair with zero plans to help anyone except himself, smiles at the news and goes back to watching his minions scramble around like clueless ants. Looks like Rei's about to get another golden chance to tell Shidu exactly what she thinks, assuming she can get the words out without throwing a punch first. Mr. Shidu rolls up to Seiya's house with his crew, looking for refuge and probably more fresh faces to twist with his silver tongue. He plays the part of a sinful adult desperately needing the pure help of kids, but everyone can see it's just a creepy cult in disguise. Shidu even has the nerve to leave the student who reported on Seiya's place outside as zombie bait. Talk about loyalty. No one knows what kind of mess he'll cause next with that slimy mind and sneaky words, but it can't be good. Meanwhile, Seiya hears the survivors grumbling about her father's big show in the courtyard. A lot of them cling to the idea that this killing pandemic might not be so black and white, that maybe, just maybe, the infected aren't totally gone and could be saved. Because of that, they refuse to become killers no matter how much Seiya and her dad push them. Those stubborn survivors just won't be convinced, sticking to their hope like it's a lifeline. Kauta, trying to sound wise, praises Seiya for trying but also gets where the others are coming from. He knows how easy it is to ignore the scary stuff, you know, like ignoring math homework back in high school. Takashi finds their reasoning smart enough to impress him, which just boosts Seiya and Kauta's egos, making them think Takashi should be the new leader of the group. In a quieter moment, Siko meets with Soakairo, who's eager to hand over a prized family sword to the daughter of the man who trained him. This sword has seen countless battles and somehow never gets a scratch, a real legend in its own right. Siko tries to convince him to give it to her father, probably hoping to avoid the drama, but Soakairo isn't having it. He wants Siko to be the one guarding his daughter's future with that blade. After some thought, she agrees but gently suggests maybe Takashi deserves the sword instead, seeing him as the real leader in the making. Soakairo agrees Takashi has grown into a decent young man but thinks Takashi is holding himself back, and this ruthless world sure isn't waiting around for anyone to catch up. Takashi retreats to his room, turning over Seiya and Kauta's words about leadership like a heavy stone in his mind. The idea of being the leader feels as comfortable as wearing shoes 2 sizes too small, but maybe it's time to step up. Just then, Rei appears, cutting through his thoughts. She tells him he already holds that role, he's the one who always saves the day, the one ready to throw down every time they need him. Without him, they'd still be stuck somewhere, probably eaten by zombies or lost in the weeds. She admits she was blind before and that hurting him was a big mistake. Takashi, caught between disbelief and anger, throws her onto the bed, stuck between the urge to forgive and the urge to smack some sense into her. He wonders how can he trust her words after all that. Rei storms out, burning with frustration and pain, and not all of it is from the wounds. In the hallway, Rei bumps into Siko, who's waiting patiently to talk to Takashi. Siko senses someone inside the room but hears nothing, so she waits outside like a cat before pouncing. Rei pushes Siko to go in, teasing that maybe she can do what Rei clearly can't, make Takashi happy. Siko asks Rei to drop the formalities and use her first name, but Rei can't bring herself to believe they're friends anymore. Deep down, she knows she lost Takashi's heart somewhere along the way. After their chat, Takashi heads to Soakairo to lay out his plan. He's going to find his own mother and Rei's parents, hoping to bring them back before dawn. Soakairo warns that their group can't keep waiting around and might have to leave without them if they don't return in time. Takashi, showing a bit more backbone than usual, tells him to leave if they're not back, no hard feelings. Then, Takashi strides into the front hall to meet with Rei, ready to face whatever comes next. Siko shows up looking ready for war, sword freshly gifted and gleaming in her hand. She's not about to sit this one out and makes it clear she's coming along for the ride. Then, one by one, the others join the group, like a bad zombie movie cast trying to survive together. Everyone seems to be packing up to leave, whether they're ready or not. Suddenly, Rei bursts out of the room like a lightning bolt, bayonet aimed straight at Shidu, who just strolls in with his smarmy gang of students. He stumbles back, pretending to be shocked that she'd suddenly turn on him, but everyone knows he's a snake who's been expecting this moment all along. The dirty truth about Shidu's background comes spilling out. His father, a crooked politician, used his kid like a puppet to make Rei repeat a school year as punishment for her father digging into his shady dealings. Rei's been biting her tongue to not mess up the investigation, talk about self-control, but now all bets are off. The tension skyrockets, and Soakairo steps out, telling Rei that if she wants, she can finish Shidu off. His past ties don't mean a thing anymore. Takashi tries to step up to protect the fragile peace, but Siko, the sword-wielding voice of reason, cuts him off. This decision is Rei's alone. In the end, Rei chooses mercy, sparing Shidu's sorry life but banishing him and his corrupt little cult of students from the Takagi household forever. The air clears a bit, and a calm silence settles over Rei as she watches Shidu's bus disappear down the road, probably to stir up more trouble somewhere else. But none of them realize the world outside is about to blow up, literally. With leadership collapsing, the United States decides to hit first in a brutal preemptive strike against its enemies. Of course, those enemies aren't just going to lie down and take it. Nukes light up the sky, ripping through cities and key targets like fireworks gone horribly wrong. Just when it seems like things can't get worse, even more missiles shoot up, heading higher and higher, ready to bring a nightmare none of them saw coming. Shizuka suddenly remembers something exciting, and it's like she's about to burst with joy. She rushes over to Kauta, practically begging to borrow his phone. After a quick check to make sure all the buttons are still where they should be, because, you know, phones these days might as well be ancient artifacts, she dials the number of Rika. The call connects, and Shizuka tells Rika about their guns being taken, but Rika is surprisingly calm. All she cares about is where they are hiding. Just as Shizuka is about to spill the location, the phone sizzles and dies. A flash of blinding light lights up the sky for a brief second, followed by an eerie silence. Seiya feels a heavy weight in her gut and orders Rei to check the scope on her gun. It doesn't work. Just as she feared, a high-altitude nuclear blast has just set off an EMP, frying all the electronics nearby. Any machine that runs on computers is now as useful as a rock. Cars die, the motors on the gates stop working, and any hope of automatic defense vanishes. Technology might as well be a myth now. Meanwhile, Shidu, who's trying to get away from the chaos in his bus, suddenly realizes the brakes aren't responding. The bus crashes straight into a forklift that's busy removing a barrier for their escape. That crash is like ringing the dinner bell for the zombies. Swarms of the undead pour through the gap in the fence, heading straight for the house like it's a buffet. Soakairo shouts to close the gates, but without power, the motors are useless. The survivors have to struggle to shut the gates by hand, and locking them is a laughable dream at this point. The zombie horde grows, pushing the gate down like it's made of paper, and floods the compound in a horrifying wave. The survivors who refuse to accept the truth about the infected get a nasty wake-up call as the undead swarm their camp. For many, though, the realization comes too late. Soakairo and Yuriko quickly rally their fighters and plan a desperate escape to the building next door. It's their only hope of survival, but it means everyone strong enough has to stand and fight. Then Soakairo turns to Takashi, grilling him about why he hasn't gone to look for his parents yet. The moment to act is now, no more time for excuses or hesitation. Takashi catches the hint and takes charge, leading the group toward the Humvee. But surprise, surprise, the vehicle isn't quite ready for an escape party yet. A few last-minute tweaks are needed. Luckily, the Humvee's electronics are triple copper-plated, fancy tech that somehow laughs in the face of the EMP. While the mechanic fiddles with the stubborn machine, the group must fend off the relentless zombie crowd. Takashi, Siko, Hirano, and Rei jump into the mess, swinging and slicing like they're auditioning for the apocalypse's version of a dance show. Even Seiya jumps into the fray before ordering Shizuka to hop into the Humvee with Alice and Zeke. Once the mechanic gives the thumbs up, Shizuka cranks the engine, and the rest scramble back, ready for a speedy getaway. But the zombies are still crowding their path, making a clean escape about as easy as teaching a cat to swim. Soakairo and Yuriko fight tooth and nail in the middle of the courtyard, holding the line as the Humvee roars past them. Seiya watches quietly through the window, feeling the weight of leaving her parents behind. With their daughter gone, Soakairo and Yuriko can finally unleash their full strength, because honestly, they've done all they can for her. She's tough, surrounded by friends who can hold their own, and it's time for the parents to stop being the helicopter types. Like a baby bird finally flapping its wings, Seiya has to fly on her own. Soakairo and Yuriko brace themselves for the fight ahead, free at last to fight without holding back. The Humvee races toward the exit only to find Shidu's bus parked like it owns the place, blocking the way. Shizuka, proving she's no amateur driver, manages to tilt the Humvee onto two wheels and keep it steady, almost like some stunt driver from a cheesy action flick. Takashi grabs Seiko's hand, pulling her inside just as they smash through the barricade like it's made of cardboard. They've done it, they escaped. But there's no chance to catch their breath. The search for family is on. First stop, Takashi's mother and Rei's parents. Then, they'll look for Shizuka's friend Rika. Of course, the universe has other plans. After taking a beating, the Humvee gives up the ghost, forcing the group to continue on foot like they're starring in a survival reality show. They stumble upon a mall and decide it's worth checking out, because we're better to find supplies, zombies, or maybe just some bad mall food. After barely escaping the zombie chaos, Takashi and the gang find a rowboat and start paddling like their lives depend on it. Since the undead can't swim, they think water is their new best friend. So they row and row until they land on a quiet little island just off the coast of Takanasu. The place looks like it's straight out of a travel brochure, white sandy beaches, palm trees swaying like they're in a shampoo ad, and not a single zombie in sight. Finally, something not trying to eat them. But looks can be tricky. There's no sign of food or shelter, just a lot of sand and more sand. Luckily, little Alice proves more useful than half the group by spotting a beach cabin. Everyone rushes over, hoping it's not just full of air and bad luck. Inside, they find lots of bottled water, but not a crumb of food. What they do find, though, is a closet stuffed with beachwear. With no food but plenty of flair, they decide to take a break and blow off some steam. Now the outfit situation gets interesting. The girls walk out in swimsuits that are clearly more for runway drama than actual swimming. Meanwhile, Takashi ends up looking like a budget lifeguard in a pair of tight Speedos, and poor Kauta is forced into a one-piece school swimsuit that looks like it gave up on life years ago. Since the girls finally get a chance to chill, they make the boys go forage for food. Takashi sees this as his big hero moment and sprints off, only to spend the next hour struggling to find anything edible. He even manages to fall out of a coconut tree, which really seals his fate as the least useful member today. Kauta, though, channels his inner survival game and MacGyvers a spear out of a knife and a stick like it's his natural talent. The girls return from their volleyball and sea splashing fun to find Takashi with a few sad leaves in his hands. Just when everyone's ready to give up, Kauta shows up like an anime version of Poseidon, carrying a net full of seafood like it's no big deal. At least Takashi manages to start a fire, which is something, even if it's the bare minimum. They all sit around the fire, stomachs growling, waiting for dinner to be ready. That's when a strange smell starts creeping in. Out of nowhere, Shizuka jumps up with the energy of someone who just remembered they left the stove on. She yells for everyone to move away from the fire because, in her medical wisdom, they've been burning hydrangea leaves. These things mess with the brain, causing wild hallucinations. The warning is a bit late though, because her brain is already out for a joyride. She launches herself straight at Takashi like she just remembered he's single. Takashi scrambles away, but it's like a bad dream. Seiya and Rei start closing in too, their eyes glazed over like donuts. Before things turn into a full-on zombie free-feeding frenzy, Seiko grabs his wrist and pulls him to safety, proving once again she's the only one with more brain cells than hair clips. The two run into the forest, dodging trees and awkward memories. After a while, they realize they're completely alone. Takashi turns to say thanks, but Seiko has other ideas. Her eyes go soft, and suddenly she's all over him. She confesses she's had feelings for him for a long time but held back because of the others. Now that no one's watching, she's not holding back anything. Takashi tries to resist, barely, but then the hallucinations hit him like a truck full of bad decisions. He gives in, and the two crash to the ground, wrapped in confusion and questionable choices. Meanwhile, back at the fire, Shizuka thinks she sees her bestie Rika and hugs her like a long-lost sister. Seiya spots who she believes is her mom and does the same, clearly too dizzy to realize she's hugging a walking disaster. They all roll around on the beach like a rom-com gone terribly wrong, totally forgetting about the zombie problem. Eventually, the fog starts to clear, and Seiya is the first to realize something is very, very wrong. Her mom turns out to be Shizuka. Shizuka as Rika is actually Seiya. They're tangled up in the sand, very naked, and not at all proud of themselves. Seiya screams like she just saw her test results. She then looks up and spots Seiko and Rei in the shallow water, both completely nude, cuddling like it's a honeymoon. They're whispering sweet nonsense about Takashi like they're in a drama series nobody asked for. Then comes the worst part, she sees Kauta preaching about peace and love while dry humping a broomstick. Seiya lets out another scream, louder this time. Right when it couldn't get more ridiculous, Alice appears like the only person with any grip on reality and tells others that Takashi is in trouble. The group follows her and finds Takashi still tripping on plant fumes, somehow fighting off 4 zombie girls. One slips and lands face first on his Speedos, which jolts him back to sanity faster than a slap. Turns out, the island has a secret tunnel that leads to the mainland. So much for their safe paradise. They decide to pack up, pretend none of this madness ever happened, and move on. And just like that, the chase continues. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more epic anime breakdowns that bring all the action and feels. And hey, don't forget to drop a like. Plus, share the name of your favorite survival or zombie anime in the comments below. Until next time, stay sharp and keep slicing through the chaos.